Anti-LGBTQ state laws are starting to change application and admission choices from college students. Florida state lawmakers have passed laws that block classroom discussions about sexual orientation or gender identity in primary schools and aim to restrict race-based conversation and analysis in business and education. Another recent bill would let the state board that oversees public universities give direction on removing major and minors in subjects like critical race theory and gender studies, and bar spending on programs and activities that support such curricula. Cindy Nobles, who serves as president of Jacksonville chapter of the LGBTQ advocacy group, PFLAG, said Florida legislation has, quote, changed how I'm looking at every school, end quote. Interviews with students, parents, and college counselors suggest LGBTQ young people are striking colleges in states where such legislation is being pushed. Some students worry about having access to hormone therapy while away at school. Some want to attend schools with all gender housing options, and others fear hostile rhetoric puts them at the heightened risk of physical violence across the country. State legislators have moved to restrict LGBTQ rights with hundreds of bills already this year, including in Texas, Alabama, Tennessee, and Arizona. Some schools would stop people from changing their gender identity on official documents or force teachers to tell parents about any information they learn about a student's gender identity. Advocates say a shift in college applications from LGBTQ students could lead to diminished diversity at colleges, where part of the learning experience is encountering people of different backgrounds. Oh my God. You know what? I don't want to be a drama queen, but this reminds me of Nazi Germany, because what did they do first? They were like, let's identify. Let's identify who the Jews are. And then
the queers.
Yeah, and queers. Yeah. And let's make them wear a patch. And this is just like little stuff that then led to what we all know was the horrific Holocaust, But it just puts me in that frame of mind. I'm like, what are you all trying to do to our community?
I went to a very progressive and diverse university in New Jersey, Rutgers, which is considered typically one of the most progressive universities in the country and always has been. And being a parent of a student and having a Florida prepaid college fund for my son to go to college in Florida, I'm questioning that decision. And I'm questioning it because I want my son to go to a school and be in an environment where it'll be like, I hope, the real world, which is being around diverse people, actually learning about history, and having the same beliefs that I believe in taught in his university. I'm actually, Rutgers does a lot of work around diversity, equity, and inclusion. You can go to their website and see they have a huge center around DEI. I'm wondering if these schools are going to start giving some encouragement to out-of-state students. Obviously, you pay out-of-state tuition because you don't live there, but I feel like in the environment that we're in, they need to have a pathway for students. Like I'd much rather take that money that I have in a Florida prepaid and apply it to a school that I believe in, as opposed to being in a state that's not going to teach, Black history or about gender identities.
Right. That is fascinating. I hadn't even thought about that, but I think that is great. And for me, it makes me think of, I raised your Rutgers, Smith College, which is where my fiance went.
Yes.
And she's obsessed with it. And
Wait, your fiance went to Smith?
Smith College.
Well.
Right. So when she tells me about the professors they've had on campus.
You don't know. Google Smith College.
Yeah. And Angela Davis, a Bell Hooks, a Barbara Smith, these Black feminist icons. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, they just taught there? And it's the idea that's like, we can't have any of that here in Florida at risk of losing funding or things like that. Another thing in the package that I had not thought about was for students that need gender affirming care when they're in Florida schools. And what does that mean when you're in college? And that, I think, is something that is a serious consideration that folks need to be making about the safety of these students in Florida.
You know, it's interesting to me. The University of Florida is ranked very high, generally in most of the national standard indexes. USA Today, which is really the Bible of valuation, the University of Florida is ranked as the 5th best public institution in America. You have to wonder what's going to happen now, because you cannot continue to be an outstanding educational university or college and reject the diversity and inclusion that you want on your college campus. Because at the end of the day, when you exclude, you become whiter and whiter, and you become more masculine and more masculine. And both of those are an indication of bad things to come. Of course, those are core bases, but the diversity of women, of religious diversity, of minority diversity, of queer diversity, of faith diversity are all the things that help in your educational process to expose you to all of the kind of critical thinking that you should be exposed to. So it's the antithesis of great education. We'll watch what happens at the University of Florida very closely.
Well, and very quickly, I'll just to end that, even not only just the rejection of diversity, but the rejection of fact. How can you be how can you be a preeminent institution and reject fact?
I mean, like, let's not even get on, you know, the history, like wanting to deny Black history, not even discuss it
as queer theory in an AP class.
I mean, come on. Anyway.
So, did you enjoy the show? I know you did. So make sure to click subscribe so you won't miss any of the events, news, or interviews right here on the Faye What Show. Ring the bell at the bottom of the screen, right there, so you'll be alerted every time we're live. You can also click on the Happening Out Television Network logo so you can see all of the shows on the most diverse LGBTQ plus media network. Find out just what we're doing to bring the L and the G together right here on the Faye What Show. Get the week started with me.